That's right.
Now, Paul, can you tell us, when it comes to sponsorship, what are the consulars expecting? How do I answer who is funding me? Assuming I have 50% scholarship and I have my own funding. So we will look at funding from scholarship. How do I answer funding from scholarship? How do I answer funding from sponsorship?
Right.
Employer, my uncle, my brother. And how do I answer sponsorship from self?
Right.
And how do I answer sponsorship from loans?
Yes.
So take us through this.
Very important question. Essentially, any question about funding is to authenticate the availability of the funds, the sufficiency of it, and the credibility of the source of the fund.
The availability.
Yes, whether the money is available. Like if I say
if
right
it is
now,
liquid.
yes, is it? Can you liquidate it and say I can pay my tuition right now?
That's why they don't require investments.
No.
Okay, they don't require assets.
Yes. Something that if you need the money
you can
within
get.
the next week or two, you can get the money.
Okay,
right?
so availability,
the credibility of the source.
Yeah.
Right? So where is the money coming from?
Is it an authentic money?
Is it
true?
Is it true? Is the money truly coming from this place? And it's not just like a sham or fake. Also, is the source credible in that is this person not going to change his or her mind?
Yeah.
Right?
Or can this person really sponsor you?
Or is this person able to sponsor
Yeah.
you? That's another thing.
Yeah.
The credibility of the money. And the sufficiency of it.
Is it enough?
Is it enough to take care of all that you need?
Yes.
Right?
Can the person also be better?
Yes.
After giving you all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All of that those are the three key things that they want to confidently establish through the funding question. And my advice to most people is that the best way to the easiest, I will not say best, but the easiest way to prove the credibility of the source of money is always to project the school's money first.
The scholarship.
Yeah. Because that's easiest.
Yeah, that's
easiest to
credible, accessible, available.
Very easy because it's coming from the school already. Yeah. So my advice to everybody, my younger sisters, my friends, everybody, I tell them, if they ask you who is funding you, mention the name of the schools first, right?
The scholarship
if you get if you got a scholarship from the school, then mention that one first. Like let that one come first. So I received a full tuition waiver from the school, or I got a $14,000 international students whatever award, or I got a $3,000 whatever award from the school. State that one first. Then, if you have other sources of fund, you can state that. Now, the next easiest to authenticate whether it's credible is money that is coming from either yourself or from a very close family relative, family
father
member.
Or mother.
And in this case, very close is father, mother, self, or maybe brother, right? Father, mother, brother, self, right? Extended family
or sister,
right? Sibling, general. Extended family is great. But usually extended family takes a little bit more effort to sort of authenticate the credibility of it, because there's so many stories out there of people who came here with uncle funding, brother-in-law funding, brother-in-law's cousin funding, and then the person changed their minds, or the person ran out of money, or the person had a much more immediate issue, or
the dollar CD change,
the exchange rate blew up the money, and the money that they thought they could give you they could not make that available anymore. So in this case, they can change their minds and it will not necessarily affect them directly, but it's very likely that your parents, yourself, or whoever who is very invested in your life will not change their minds easily. So those are the general expectations. Make sure that the money is enough. Make sure that the money is available, or you can prove that it's available within a short possible time if you need it. And then make sure that the source of the money is credible. And like we have said here, the most credible source, easiest to prove credibility, is school funding, yourself, your parents, or an immediate sibling.
And what about your employer? Is that also
your employer too? Is a great
government?
One. Or government? Yeah, those ones are also great ones. They fall in the same line with the school. Right? They fall in the same line with the school. If your employer is sponsoring you, your what do you call it? Government is sponsoring you, or something like that.
And Paul, for your employer, it must also be justifiable.
Yes,
that means that you cannot have a company that basically produce and earn less than $10,000 in a year to say we are sponsoring somebody who is going to study at a cost of $20,000.
Yeah, that's where a little bit of credibility, a little bit of sufficiency also come in, right? Because like in that case, how is this company going to survive?
Yeah. And Paul, can you tell us about my uncle is sponsoring me?
Oh my goodness.
That is very common now.
Yes.
Majority of the people we speak to are being sponsored by their uncle, and it's like the African uncles are now are very responsible these days. And what do you say? How is that? Because I feel like that has been a trend for a long time, and the consulars are skeptical.
Now consulars are skeptical, but at the beginning. And even till today, it still makes sense because, like, for most African clans and cultures, uncle, like we have a matrilineal home that uncles play a huge role in families and things like that. So embassies understood that line of sponsorship and support, but we got to a point where other people are also just like randomly looking for money from friends or friend of friends. And they didn't have any other way to sort of credibly authenticate the source of the money. They'll rather change that and say it's an uncle. It's your friend's friend or your friend's in-law or your cousin's brother or something, but you would say it's your uncle. So the consulate now, they understand that dynamic and they are being a little careful about uncles. So expect that if you go and you say it's your uncle, they may not necessarily take it as flat, genuine uncle, but they will probe a little further. What is your relationship? How long has he been in your life? What does he do? And those kinds of things, just to be sure that it's truly an uncle. But I would prefer that if it is possible, it's more than an uncle, somebody who's much closer, your father, your mother, if you have, right? If you don't, that's a different story. If you don't, you can find other ways of proving that, like you can get a letter or you can show some other things.
And also it must be, okay, we have addressed the sufficiency and all that. Now, can you tell us about family and relatives outside? There are some people who are being sponsored by their relatives outside, their families outside. Like how does that impact their or how should I answer a question about my family or my uncle, my mother, or somebody who is
outside the country,
who is in the US specifically?
Right. Again, the same three rules would apply, right? In this case, they're going to still review that same story through the lens of availability, credibility, and sufficiency, right? And in this case, the credibility will be a lot more, because they would want to know that this person is truly involved in your life, right? And for most people, at least through my experience, as I have encountered people talking to people, it's easier for the younger students, like the undergraduate students, fresh out of high school. They have a brother in the US who is funding, they have a sister in the US who is funding, or they have parents in the US who are funding, or uncle or something like that funding. Those ones are easier to understand because it seems like the consulate they're sympathetic towards the younger ones. The ones that I have experienced to be a lot more difficult are the older ones,
like me.
You're older, you have a lot more experience, you've sort of gone through some work experience, traveled here and then you come in and say it's your cousin in the US who is sponsoring you. That one, they stagger a little bit and they try to probe a little further. But either way, the review process is the same. Your answer must address the credibility of the source, the availability of it, and the sufficiency of it.
Okay, what about loans? Like I'm coming and I have a loan and I'm coming on a student loan. How do I answer a question on loans at the visa interview?
I think for loans, we all should expect questions regarding like who is giving the loan, how are you going to repay back the loan? Because that's a big thing. Like they're not just going to watch you ruin your life. They're going to like ask you a few questions.
Why do you need so much in loan to come and study that program?
Yes, and you're alluding to a point that is very important in the sense that the extent to which loans can help in your application depends on how much of it. For some people, they need loan as a supplementary fund. That is cool. Good. That happens.
You need about 5,000.
Maybe you need 5,000. I have 50,000 already. I need 10,000. Or I have 20,000 already. I need 15,000. Something like that, just to supplement it. For some people, they need loan to support everything entirely. And that's
30,000, 40,000. And this is a year.
Yeah, for a year. That means it's going to be recurring. If your program is 2 years, you're going to be
paying 80,000.
Yes. If you're
loan.
If you're taking 40,000 a year, if you're taking 50,000, then it's going to be like 100,000 a year. And if you're an undergrad, you're going to be staying in school for 5 years or 4 years. Then you're going to be duplicating that, and that's where the consulate will be like, "Hey, guy, have you thought about what you're trying to do? Have you really thought about it? Do you know the implications of paying loans with interest over a period of 5 years or 2 years or whatever period of time that you are given to repay back the loan?" That's where they want to probe a little bit further. Right. Again, as I have said in other previous videos about loans that we have done, personally, I am a little hesitant about loans, but I understand that it's not everybody who would, be as privileged, right? Yeah. So if you need to take a loan, think critically about your repayment plan,
the interest,
the time period that you're going to pay, how much loan you're taking, and then also think critically about your repayment plan, because they would want to know all these things before they grant you the thing. It's not an automatic grant because you got a loan from a credible source.
Yeah, and the loan is really, really a big thing, because when you are here on F1 visa and you graduate and you want to even work on OPT, maximum 3 years, and you are still working around, how do you use that 3 years to pay $40,000?
Yeah, very few people save up $40,000 in 3 years.
It will be it wouldn't be easy, and it will even bring a lot of stress. So sometimes, as you said, you must reconsider if it is huge. The loan amount is a lot, and why don't you wait and apply to other schools? That would.
Why? I think that's the big thing. Why don't you try other places too? I'm sure there will be somewhere that even if they don't give you everything, they'll give you something much more substantial, that their loan will not be that huge.